This video serves two purposes. Number one, to remind people that SWORDSOUL is an amazing deck. We're going to be getting even more support here with the upcoming ban list, releasing our boy to 3 finally. This is pure SWORDSOUL, probably the best way of playing the deck. Lots of different fun things you can do, but it's hard to beat the classics. And number two, this video serves as a call out to people using Shifter and a Race Heart. Do one. Anyways, this deck is an absolute blast. I was trying to ladder, I was using a bunch of different decks. I was using Monodium, I was using Branded, I was using all these different decks, and I was getting super frustrated because there was so much graveyard hit, so many big floodgates, so many problematic cards that I felt like most of these decks sort of fell to. And SWORDSOUL didn't, and I think a large part of that is because we were able to play such a concise and effective engine that we have tons of room for auxiliary cards. For example, again, your Veilers, your Duels, your triple imperms, the fact you've got so much room for all of these additional cards on top of your regular hand trap packages is just incredible, and the actual deck itself is super fucking great. Now, there are certain things you might want to tag in and out. I feel like Heavenly Dragon Circle is definitely a card you want to play. It makes the deck a little bit safer, helps protect it from Imperm and Veiler and the likes. So I would definitely recommend playing that to some extent. So if you... Heavenly Dragon Circle is this card here. You probably want to play this, maybe 2. You probably want to play this as 2, maybe drop in Bell and Tactics, or maybe Bell and an Imperm, putting in 2 Circle. I wasn't playing it, which was super sort of high rolly of me, but it worked out great on this occasion. I would just wanted to throw that out there that you probably should play that. But anyways, I had a blast. I've got a bunch of replays coming up here. I am going to be doing a deck profile at the end of this video, so stay tuned for that, of course. But we are going to be going through 3 replays here of just some stellar examples of SWORDSOUL just putting in work, just being one of the most reliable decks in the game. So if you're interested in this style of content or anything else, of course, that we do on the channel, feel free to subscribe to catch it as it's coming out every single day to the best of our ability. And like the video if you actually enjoy watching, or if you just love SWORDSOUL and want to show support for the channel. Every little bit adds up, so however you choose to show support is entirely up to you. But if you want to go that little bit further, you can, of course, also join as a member down below using the link in the description or that little join button. But either ways, I'm not going to bore you here. Let's get right into the gameplay. Alrighty, getting into game number 1 here. Let me very briefly just check something out. Yep, we're all good. So getting into game 1, pretty standard hand. We're going to start off with our Ecclesia here. Not a lot of hand trap protection, but luckily our opponent, the only thing they seem to have here is a Maxi. Now, Maxi is a very powerful card, but because we play such a tight engine, we have plenty of ways of getting around it and negating it. Ash Blossom being first and foremost among them. So Ash Blossom taking out the Maxi is always good. We're going to summon out the Mo Yi then. Mo Yi reveals Taya in hand to summon a token, and we're just going to show off. This is a bit of a high roll hand because we have like the Protos and things already, which is so good, and Taya in hand, which is fucking amazing. So you're going to see some of the combos that we can do here. Grabbing the Strategist and Summit, the card that most people probably aren't even playing. We're able to drop Taya off of our Strategist to summon itself and the token out to the board. Now we're going to go into our Sinister Sovereign. Sinister Sovereign is so good in this meta. We're going to go for Summit now to bring back the Taya that we discarded. Taya then going to use its effect. So this little combo works. It actually works better in reverse if you open up with a Taya to start your combo, because Taya can mill Mo Yi and then you can summon back the Mo Yi and do it that way. But either way, it sort of works the exact same. We are now going to go into our drag out. So we have a spell trap negate on top of everything else. Taya then going to mill and a Shunin. So we've got plenty of materials to banish for our Protos. Protos then locking out a Dark. And this is a very powerful board. Dark Floodgate, double banish, monster negate, and a spell trap negate. It's hard to beat that, especially after having played around that Maxi as well with the Ash Blossom. They're going to go the Bestial Rebellion, grabbing the Saronir. What are you going to do? You can't summon Dark. Branded and High Spirit's going to reveal the Saronir. They're going to make an attempt to play for it nonetheless, sending Titaniclad to the graveyard. Likely going to try and fall back on a Quem of some sort, grabbing Fallen of Albaz from their deck. They cannot special summon Dark, but they can normal summon Dark. Normal summoning the Fallen of Albaz to try and fusion summon using a monster on our board. We are, of course, going to negate that. Not a chance we're going to let that resolve. Just for them to take away one of our monsters. No chance they're going to go into Dear Servant. Perfect opportunity to use our Dragate. That was... risky is not the word, because he would have had to have just Branded Fusion as his last card in hand. And what are the odds of that? And sure enough, our opponent decides that, yeah, they can't break our board. And they're 100% right to surrender. That's a fucking... it's a mighty old board. It's a tough one to break for any deck. So, yes, again, Sinister didn't put in a lot of work in that particular game, but again, think past that point, we still had 2 banishes. We could still banish a monster he special summons, and we could still banish a spell or trap that he activates to deal additional burn damage. The fuck, that shit's sick, right? It's great. But anyways, let's get into game 2. Alright, getting into game 2 now. So starting off with again, still a very powerful hand. I believe our opponent plays slightly differently in this one though. We are going to go for the Ashuna off the rip to start off with. Mo Yi then summoning itself out, SWORDSOUL Emergence then revealing itself to grab a token. We're going to go Shi Zhao now. Shi Zhao going to use its effect, of course. Going to get searching our deck. We're going to draw a card off of Mo Yi. No, I thought that this was a game where we got Veiler there. Apparently not. That's fine. So we're going to draw one. We're going to search one. Again, very, very, very standard SWORDSOUL plays. This is just a one-card combo, right? And you could look at this footage and you could, like, accuse me of, like, picking games or do whatever you want. Number one, I don't give a shit. And number two, like, this is just so common. There's so many ways to get into this line of play. It's such a straightforward thing. You can do this exact line of play without SWORDSOUL Mo Yi at all if you have, like, access to the Ashuna. You've got the Emergence, of course. You've got the Mo Yi. You've got the Taya, which can also do it in most instances as well. There's so many ways to access this line of play that it's fucking unreal. They do Ash our Emergence though, so that means no Protos, at least not right away. We do have Tactic as hand though. Talents, right? Talents is awesome. This card is really growing on me. I feel like this card is amazing, and I'm probably going to be playing in multiple copies in most of my decks going forward because it's just putting in so much work right now. We are going to summon the Adara from deck so we can go into the Shaman then going to discard our Ash Blossom so we can go into Monk of the Tenyi. Again, you could argue that maybe wasn't worth it here, but again, the Adara being able to banish itself to grab back the Ashuna from our deck, I think the follow-up is going to generate some level of advantage. I don't really think the Ash Blossom is going to be super worth it here. They're going to go for the Kashtira, Scarcrow Kashtira into the Lightheart. Lightheart then going to search our deck for the field spell. Again, we know he's playing Scarcrow, which is why he didn't mind losing the Ash Blossom, because he's going to activate the field spell. Field spell, immediately banished, right? And that's game. And that little play, that works against Monodium, that works against Kashtira, that works against anything that wants to play a field spell to get searching, anything that wants to play continuous spells like Kashtira Birth, or anything of that nature, immediately banished. And because they're no longer face up, they don't get their effects. That's one of the most powerful things about the Sinister Sovereign, especially in a meta filled with continuous cards, filled with Branded Lost, filled with Scarcrow, Monodium field spells, Kashtira field spells. There's just a lot of points in which that's useful. Even just trying to get rid of, like, Brand of Fusion, right? Taking Brand of Fusion out of rotation by banishing it. Taking all these powerful cards out of rotation, like the Branded and High Spirits, which will bring itself back. The Branded King. It's a iffy example, but it's still, again, you can take it out of rotation. So there's a lot of power behind that, banishing spells and traps that I think doesn't get enough credit. And of course, the banishing of monsters is just fucking amazing because you're banishing one of their monsters, right? We could have done that at any stage there. I was saving it for when he summoned his first Scarcrow, basically, because I knew what was in his hand. So we sort of knew what to expect. There was one unknown card that we didn't know about, and I was willing to put money on the fact it wasn't a Scarcrow. But yeah, pretty solid game. Let's get into game 3. All right, game 3 then. Again, Mo Yi in hand is pretty solid. We're going to go Adara here off the rip, just so we got a worm on board. We're going to go revealing the other Adara to summon out a token. Now we're going to go into the Grand Master. So Grand Master then, of course, going to search our deck for another card. Mo Yi going to draw us something here. And so we get to draw into Ghost Spell. Is a very good draw. We also get to grab the Strategist off of the Grand Master. We're going to link one off into Monk of the Tenyi. We're going to use the Strategist, dropping our remaining Adara to summon itself out to the field, as well as, of course, a token, so we can synchro summon into the Sinister Sovereign. Grand Master, Sinister Sovereign is basically your bread and butter. You're going to see this basically every game. You don't really need to worry too much about the consistency of these things. Again, I love going against Kashtira with this deck. Like, see if you go first and you put this guy up against Kashtira, the value he generates is fucking huge. Because you can negate so many of their powerful cards. It's not even negating, but it's effectively negating because they summon it and it just banished, gone. Deleted, right? And now you're not on the field. Now I'm going to use my maxi before you can put something else out. They are going to grab talent. So this is where this game gets tricky. They're going to activate talent. I decide, fuck it. They're probably going to take my Sinister Sovereign just because it can swing over my Grand Master. So you know what? That's fine. I'm going to banish it, get some chip. But they go for the Grand Master here, actually. Taking it, I'm assuming, so we can't negate their Ariana. Very, very smart play. Going to grab the Ku Klok from their deck. Then they're going to use the Ku Klok so they can activate a trap card this turn that they set. They're going to immediately activate Big Welcome. I'm going to hit that with Ghost Spell because Ghost Spell can negate Big Welcome, which is hilarious. I love that it can do that. So Big Welcome does nothing. They're going to go in the Muckraker just to get rid of my Grand Master. Fair enough. Whatever. Set 2 pass. So not the greatest situation in the world, but again, I love Sinister Sovereign in the Labrynth matchup as well, because banishing those back row to stop them from recurring is just so big. We're going to go Taya here. Taya banishing a Worm from Grave, so we can go into Dragite, the surprise Dragite, not going in the Grandmaster, so now we've got a banish and a negate. He flips up Welcome Labrynth. I don't care about Welcome Labrynth, so I'm going to banish it. And then we're going to chain, of course, Max C to that. So Welcome Labrynth basically just puts a lab on board, but the only way that the monster he summons that can actually do stuff is if the other trap resolves, right? So the way I'm looking at it, I don't care. He's going to go big welcome. He's going to bounce our Sinister Sovereign here back to our hand, which again, I don't care about. He's going to activate the Daryuma cannon. We're going to negate the Daryuma cannon, which stops his Lady Labrynth from setting a card onto the field. So that's negated and that's destroyed. Then the big welcome does bounce Sinister Sovereign, but not before we can banish his Lady Labrynth as well, bringing him down to 2000, Dragite for game. And that is just another example of us crushing Labrynth. We have a very love-hate relationship with Labrynth. If we go first against them, the Sinister Sovereign being able to like banish their back row is so big, because the whole problem with Lab and the reason many decks struggle against Lab is it has short-term resilience, like short-term resilience, and can like weaken their opponent to the point where they can't win in the short term. And then in the long game, they just have so much recursion that it's just unfucking real. Whereas when it comes to having the Sinister Sovereign, I'm banishing your big welcome. I'm banishing your welcome. I'm banishing your field spell. I'm taking away the key resources you need. I'm banishing your lady without targeting, without destruction. You can't protect yourself from that. I'm banishing your lady. Like, you can't. There's no playing around that. That's tough for Labrynth to deal with. Now, if they go first, they can put you, conversely, in a very tough spot, right? Because if they go D-barrier, that hurts, right? So you do definitely need to... It's a very give-and-take relationship. It's love-hate, so it is. They can definitely get the jump on you, but if you go first and you set up well and you've got a decent enough situation, you can definitely, like, sort of pluck their wings. You can really weaken them for that long grind game and just burn them down, just take them down to your level, just like we did in this matchup. But anyways, that's enough for the replays. As per usual, what I want to do is I'm going to mix in 1, maybe 2 live games just to round it all out. So let's hop into the master rank. Alrighty, getting into the master rank, oh sorry, diamond rank, not master rank, Jesus. Let's go first. We're on our coin toss. The season just reset. I'm still sort of in the master mindset. Diamond, okay. Let's see if we can get a decent enough hand here going first. Opponent's got a very basic field here. I love the SWORDSOUL field again, by the way. Like, the field is fucking dope. Okay, this is a hand. They might have Max C, but I don't care. That is A-okay by me, honestly. Right, let's go for Vishuda. I'm gonna see if I can, like, make plays without needing to go for Emergence, so I can save it for later. So let's go for our Vishuda here. If you want to Max C, that's fine. No? Okay. Probably wants to play around Gamma. So he might Max C now. Yeah, that's smart. Smart. Some SWORDSOUL players do play Gamma. Makes total sense. 100%. I'm going to activate the Call by the Grave here. I'm going to target that. This is risky. I'm also going to activate my Max C. Do we need discard fodder for anything? No, this can't even be discarded. I'm going to activate my Max C, just in case he's playing Bestials, right? This is super high rolling. You don't have to do this, but again, it's not going to be usable during his turn anyway. So it's fine. I don't think this game's hitting turn 4. I might as well, like, if he's using Bestials, I might as well sort of scare him out of not using them, right? So we might benefit from that. We might not. Who knows? But it's better me use it now rather than never use it in the game, right? Because we're not going to have another opportunity to use it. This deck doesn't have any, like, generic discard steps or anything like that. Like, a lot of the stuff that There's a fucking Bestial! What did I say? So I'm going to go for Taya. If he's going to Bestial, he does it now. He's thinking about it. He's thinking about it. Is it worth the draw, buddy? Is it worth the draw? I fucking knew it, man. I fucking knew it. I'm fucking so good at this game. Oh my god. Oh, what a fucking draw. Holy shit. Simply better at the game. I don't know what to say. All right, we're gonna go Emergence here. Emergence gonna grab us. No point in grab. We could grab Moyi, and like, no, we can just mill that later. Yeah. Let's not get too crazy here. Let's not get too crazy. Let's just grab a strategist. Let's not go nuts. That's fine. That gives our Taya room to maneuver. Then we can banish the Emergence. Fucking knew that was gonna happen. We're gonna summon the Sword Soul token. It's fine. We're not gonna modulate level. We don't need to. Into our Grand Master. Yep. Still want that negate on deck. We still want that negate. Plus it gets us our discard fodder and everything. Yeah. I like it. We're going to activate the Grand Master Chainlink 1. Taya Chainlink 2. We can actually do some shit with Taya here, so we can. Big time. So we can either send a Shuna to do some like worm plays later. I think that's what we are going to do. Because if I send... I guess I could send Moyi, grab Summit, but then I'm not guaranteed to have a worm to discard. So I think I'm going to send a Shuna. Then do I have a worm in hand for that? I might not. I might not have a worm in hand. So if I send a Shuna, right? I banish a Shuna, summon the Adara and Monk in the Shaman. I use this to search for Moyi. Shaman drops Moyi. We don't have a normal for the Adara to add anything to hand. Shit, that doesn't work either. Right. Let's just send the... Let's send the Ashuna for now. Moyi is also a hell of a send there. They both are really good sends. I think we're going to grab... Let's grab Moyi. Okay. Now we're going to go for a Shuna. Right? So this is risky. This is risky. So we summon the Adara. Don't get me wrong. This might not be the way. I guess... No, we can make this the way. We can make this the way. It does give up our other Monk. But I think it might be worth it. I think it might honestly be worth it. So we're going to go for Monk here. Now we're going to activate the Adara Engrave. Banishing the Adara, we're going to grab back Shuna, why not? Right? Now we go for Shaman. Yaha. Let me see, you can activate effects monsters special from the extra deck, except TENYIs. Yep, that all checks out. So now we're going to... We are worm locked, which is important, but that should be fine anyway. We're going to go Shaman of the TENYI here. We're going to discard a Moyi. We're going to summon the Moyi. And yeah, this worked out. This did exactly what I was trying to rack my brain about like 15 seconds ago. This is exactly it. So this is all good. We don't have Dragite, unfortunately. I really would have liked Dragite in this situation. But I think this is still more than good enough. 100%. 100%. That's what I fucking thought. There you go. I mean, well, we'll do one more. That was kind of short. And that was mainly me just sort of like racking my brain for combos. But like, man, too good. Too good. All right, so let's get in and let's see if this game's going to be any tougher. Let's see if we actually get to finish our first turn. We do win, of course, win the coin toss. Well deserved after the last person surrendered on us. We would have had Sinister Sovereign and Berserker there, basically, is all we were missing. So all you didn't see was me summoning Berserker and Sinister Sovereign, that's it. Ooh. Not a great hand. Okay, let's go for Vishuda. How do we play this? So you're going to use something. Play Maxi. Does he want to play Rangama, though? Does he want to play Rangama? If he does, I can chill. Shifter. Shifter gets shifting. What does that mean? Oh, is that Flu? Could this be Flu? Or is it more likely to be Kashtira? Fuck, man. It's probably Kashtira, right? Could also technically be Vanquish Soul. I don't really want to do much in the Shifter, man. This is exactly what I'm talking about, man. Anyone who's playing Shifters, you're a fucking bitch. You're a bitch if you're playing Shifter. That's just it. You're just a bitch. Alright, let's see. Let's see. Not as good of a situation as we were hoping for. 2 cards instantly made dead in our hand, unfortunately, by the shifter. Treshtura is not great for us. Let's try to use Ye Old Noggin here. So what exactly is he going to do? If he goes for Theosis off the rip, we can Ash and be done with it. That's not good. That's not good. Okay. Banishing the Rise Heart from the hand. Rise Heart from hand banishing? Interesting. That would have been a free summon. Are you just gonna swing? There's not really any cards in my deck that are like really good top decks here. Only really Emergence, if I'm being honest. Nothing else really gets the job done. Unless you just have like a nupper. Rise Heart? Yeah, of course he does. Fucking course he does. Whatever. Whatever. Alright, that's fine. Rise Heart, gonna banish a card. That's fine. That's just, you know, suit yourself. Banishing the Big Bang. Doesn't seem like you're gonna be ending on Fenrir at least, which is something. But the Rise Heart does kind of kill us. Alright. Gonna get locking us up. That's fine. Big Bang. Gonna summon out one of the attached Kashtiras. Probably Ogre. Ogre's like decently solid. Maybe not. Maybe the Scarcrow Kashtira because of its protection. Yeah, I would probably summon the Scarcrow Kashtira. Now he's gonna go for Ogre though. Both are good. Both are good. There's an argument for both to be sure. Nah, fucking Shifter into a Rise Heart kills 2 cards in our hand right away. That's fucking tragic, man. That is tragic. That means our Max C can't be used. Which is very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. That's okay. Gonna take out our Vishuda. Shuna, Ghost Spell, Moyi. Yeah, none of those cards do anything for me. None of them. Banish the Moyi. Of course he did. Okay. So, what is our win con here? Like, realistically, like, what do we do? Like, what is even the play? There realistically isn't one. Yeah, he's got us. He's just got us. He's just got us. Graveyard Floodgates, what do you want me to say? Every deck has its weaknesses. This is exactly what I was saying at the beginning of the video. If you're playing a Rise Heart, if you're playing D-Shifter, you're a fucking bitch. Let's get into the deck profile. Alright. Here's the list. So let's go over it here. We're not going to spend like forever on it because I've been talking a lot about SWORDSOUL recently. So I'm not going to spend forever on the list here. But for those who are curious, we of course have our primary SWORDSOUL line. I'm just going to go through the deck card for card just so everyone's on the same page. We'll start with the hand traps. We have a lot of room for hand traps. That's one of the strengths of SWORDSOUL is the fact that its engine is tight, concise, and effective, which means you have plenty of room for additional hand traps. You don't need to invest tons of deck space into extenders or anything like that. You can into like alternative plays or more plays if you really want to. But the deck performs very well by doing its thing and then having several interruptions available to it in hand, right? So we have Veiler as a one-of, Duel as a one-of, we have triple Maxi, triple Ash Blossom, we have Ghost Bell as a one-of, we have Nibiru as a one-of, triple Tactics Talent as a one-of, we have triple Infinite Impermanence, double Call by the Grave, and a single Crossout Designator. So not only are all of those cards really fucking good and very powerful, they're universally useful, and they all serve as very good crossout targets. So there's very few things that you can get hit with that you can't cross out as well if you happen to have it in hand. Hopefully we see crossout return to 2 or 3 copies of deck relatively shortly. They either need to do that or they need to fucking ban Maxi, man. Come on now. But and give me my free crossout back. Let me play 2022 SWORDSOUL. Let me play 2022 SWORDSOUL with my fucking 3 copies of crossout. Come on. But anyway, into the guts of the deck then. So for our Sword Soul cards, we're running the 3 copies of Sword Soul Mo Yi, 2 copies of Taya, 2 copies of Long One. This is going to free soon. If you're watching this, I will almost certainly have a Sword Soul video up basically as soon as the ban list is out. But if you're watching this and the ban list is now out and this card is available at free, you're absolutely playing free of this card. 3 copies of Ecclesia, 2 or 3 is fine. I like 3. A lot of people like 2. Both ratios are fine. You sort of play around with it. I think this card is especially useful going second, which is why I'm personally a fan of playing 3 of it. But you can totally play it at 2 if you want. Then we got the triple Sword Soul Emergence. We're playing 1 copy of Sword Soul Sacred Summit. This is not a card that everybody plays, but I find myself in increasingly non-linear situations, and there's nothing quite like a searchable monster reborn to take advantage of a non-linear combo line. Secret Summit basically brings back any Sword Soul monster from your graveyard, or if you control a Synchro monster, you can bring back any Worm monster instead, which is exceptionally useful because you get to bring back basically whatever you want. And because the deck doesn't do a ton of milling, but there are certain cards that allow you to send shit to the graveyard. Or your Shaman, for example, allows you to discard key cards from hand as well. So you are capable of putting useful cards in the graveyard to be brought back then off of your Summit. So the difference between having a level 8 and a level 10 Synchro and having a 2 level 8s and a level 10 Synchro on board is usually whether or not you had access to Summit or had access to Shaman plus your missing level 4 Sword Soul. Right? So that's the easiest way of looking at it. You can, of course, do a lot of things with your TENYI cards. We'll get to those in a minute. So the 1 Sacred Summit, not mandatory, but I definitely think it's useful in a sort of non-linear metagame, which is what we're currently in. And the Sword Soul Blackout is a very powerful trap card. Then we've got the 2 copies. In terms of TENYIs, we've got the 2 Adara, we've got 2 Vishuda, we've got 3 Ashuna. I think 3 Ashuna is basically mandatory. What I will say is you should be playing Heavenly Dragon Circle in this deck. You should definitely be playing 2 copies of this card. And if you're going to play this, you should be playing at least 1 copy of TENYI Spirit Shifana. Shifana basically, so Heavenly Dragon Circle, and especially with Shifana, just puts you in situations where you are significantly tougher to take down with a singular hand trap, right? Because if you open like a mediocre or even a bad hand, there's times when a singular imperm is able to stop your whole turn, right? I mean, that is the old Sword Soul meme, right? Where 1 imperm and you're done, or 1 Veiler and you're done. For some hands, that is actually true. Most hands it's not. I think that gets overhyped a little bit, but the Heavenly Dragon Circle makes you slightly more impervious to imperm and Veiler and targeted negation as a whole, or targeted removal, because what it does basically, it's a quick play spell, and when you contribute a Worm monster in your field to add a Worm monster from deck to hand, or if you tributed a non-effect monster, you get to special summon it, but its effects are negated. So usually what you're going to do is, let's say for example you normal summon Sword Soul Mo Yi, your opponent activates Infinite Impermanence and targets your Mo Yi. Well, you're going to use Heavenly Dragon Circle to tribute your Mo Yi before your opponent can negate it, and that means your token is still summoned. Now, what are you going to search for? Well, that depends entirely upon your hand, but that is part of the reason why you want to consider Shifana, because it is a level 4 TENYI non-tuner that can special summon itself so long as you don't control any effect monsters, meaning if all you've got your Sword Soul token, your level 4 tuner, you can special summon your Shifana that you just searched for, and you can go into your Grandmaster, keep playing as if nothing happened. The only thing you miss out on is that draw 1, and who cares, right? So that is definitely worth bearing in mind. I think this card is almost mandatory. You do have to cut down a little bit on your hand traps, or maybe you could even just adjust your in-engine TENYI ratios. Maybe you only play 1 Adara. Adara is really good, but you can get away with 1 copy of this card, if I'm being honest. But maybe you want to keep 2 Adara, go to Ecclesia, or maybe you just want to cut down on your hand traps. Either or, whatever way you want to work it. I definitely think double Circle and single Shifana definitely holds a place in the deck. I wasn't playing them, and I was playing a bit of a more high roll version, almost just depending on my opponent not having those cards, and for my benefit, it kind of worked out. But it doesn't always, so just be aware of that. And yeah, the extra deck here, extra deck is super duper standard. We got the 1 Yazi, we got the Boxia, we got the 1 Draco Berserker, 1 Dragite, double copies of the Sword Soul Grandmaster Shi Zhao, 1 copy of Xiaofeng, Phantom of the Yang Zing. Still haven't summoned this card in fucking forever. I can see its utility and I know it's good, and I have used it, but it's like, it does not come up very often. There's not a ton of There's not even really a ton of good light decks in the meta right now, or decks that even play light cards. But I mean, there's bound to be a couple that's just not springing to mind. We got Baron, we've got the SWORDSOUL Supreme Sovereign Xing Ying, the SWORDSOUL Sinister Sovereign, whatever that says. We are actually playing this one, how do you pronounce his name? Ijarine, or whatever the hell his name is. The SG level 10 boss monster. I was playing a version of Menadium that was employing this card, and I really, really liked it, so I decided we're going to bring it back to SWORDSOUL. We actually used to play this card in SWORDSOUL, and it's really good. Basically, this card can, as a quick effect, it can activate and face up monsters you control for the rest of that turn, cannot be banished or destroyed by your opponent's card effects. So really, really solid protection, no destruction or banishment. And that no banishment is a very unique effect, right? Not very many cards have that level of protection, so to see it in such an accessible form is really fucking good. And if you were to use that effect, that quick play effect, if you activate that in response to an opponent's card or activation, and your opponent has a card of that name on field or in graveyard. So for example, if they summon a monster and activate an effect and you chain to that monster, then you get to banish that card as well as many other cards on their field and graveyard who have the same name. So that's very cool. And if this card as well, it even floats, right? So it's even got another effect where if a card is banished by your opponent's card effect while this is engraved, it comes back. So it is really solid protection, so anti-destruction and banishment. It's removal, and it floats back into itself. It comes back. This card's really good. I'm honestly, sometimes whenever I'm summoning out, if I'm not Wormlocked, I'm really up in the air between Ice Jade and Sinister Sovereign. I'm putting Baron third in terms of the priority of summoning here. I honestly do think that the one Omni is cool. Neat, good for you. I don't think in this, I think the game has sped up to the point where the one Omni negate simply isn't enough. It's simply not enough. It doesn't generate enough value. So many decks can play around having their primary card negated, or can like reactivate it, or can redo things. Baron also being pretty much dead against Branded because the Branded lost, things like that. It's not a good time. It's really not a good time to be Baron. But this dude, this guy, fucking, this one rocks. I like this card. So this, I would honestly, Sinister Sovereign and Ice Jade are definitely competing for 1 and 2. I think Sinister Sovereign's a little bit better just in terms of the amount of disruption it does. Disrupting 2 cards instead of 1 is just big. But man, that protection for your whole board is just incredible. So it's super hard for me to choose between the two, and I will leave that decision up to you guys. And then we got the Lulu Wallalith. This card I'm not huge on either, to be honest. I have it in because, again, sometimes the level 12 synchro level comes up, and realistically you've only got 2 good options. You have literally Lulu, or you have Final Sigma, right? Those are your 2 options. You can take your pick, whichever one. They're both good cards, don't get me wrong. Final Sigma is completely unaffected. 3k beater, does incredible damage, sure. Lulu is a little bit more control-ish, because whenever a monster leaves the extra deck, be it yours or your opponent's, all of your monsters gain 500 attack, and you can negate one of your opponent's cards. So basically, essentially, the way that works is if your opponent summons something from the extra deck, you can negate it, right? That's effectively how it works out 90% of the time. If it's in the graveyard during the end phase, you can special summon out a light spellcaster with attack equal to its own defense, which basically means if it's in the graveyard at the end of the turn, you get to summon Ecclesia. So its effects are decent. Again, don't get me wrong, I just so seldom find myself using it that if you were really looking for like an extra spot in your extra deck, you really wanted to squeeze something else in, Lulu can go. Lulu can go. It can. And then we got Double Monk for the utility of having the non-effect monsters. And lastly, Shaman. Shaman's incredible. Shaman being able to bring back worms from grave, being able to discard a worm to summon that same worm out the field, enables so many different combos. Really elevates the ceiling of the deck. Plus, it's fucking beautiful royal rare, so fight me. And that's the deck. Again, I'll put the link to a more detailed breakdown that I do of the deck up above my head, but that is the list. So if you got this far in and you enjoyed, absolutely subscribe to catch more as it's coming out. Like the video to show your support on this particular video, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.